At 65, Johnny Whitaker finally opened up about the man who changed his life both on and off screen. Brian Keith, born John Orson Whitaker Jr. on December 13, 1959. In Van Nuys, California, Johnny possessed a rare spark that set him apart from an early age. His expressive face and natural warmth made him a standout even as a child. And by the age of 3, he was already appearing in television commercials, charming audiences with his honesty and innocence. In 1966, his big break arrived when he was cast as Jody Davis in the hit CBS sitcom Family Affair. The show followed the story of orphan twins Jody and Buffy, played by Anissa Jones, who went to live with their bachelor uncle Bill Davis, portrayed by veteran actor Brian Keith, also starring Sebastian Cabot as the butler Mr. French. The series ran successfully for 5 seasons, from 1966 to 1971. It became one of America's most beloved family shows, touching hearts with its humor and emotional depth. Behind the scenes, a real bond developed between young Johnny Whitaker and Brian Keith. Brian wasn't just another actor on set, Johnny later revealed. He was like a second father to me, someone who guided me and protected me from the pressures of Hollywood. At only 7 years old, Johnny found comfort and strength in Brian's presence. Keith was tough and sometimes intimidating, but beneath his gruff exterior, he had a heart full of kindness. Between takes, he would joke with the children, help them with their lines, and remind Johnny, "Don't just say the words, believe them." That advice stayed with Johnny for the rest of his life. As Family Affair grew in popularity, Johnny's fame skyrocketed. He became one of Hollywood's most admired young actors, praised for his maturity and emotional depth. When the show ended in 1971, he was just a teenager, unsure of what would come next. Yet, he successfully transitioned into film, starring in The Biscuit Eater in 1972, a touching story about a boy and his dog that earned him critical praise. That same year, he played the title role in Tom Sawyer 1973, produced by Reader's Digest with music by the Sherman Brothers. His performance as the mischievous and lovable Tom was widely celebrated and remains one of the most memorable versions of the character. Even after Family Affair ended, Brian Keith stayed in touch. He would call and ask how I was doing, Johnny recalled. He cared even when the cameras weren't rolling. When Johnny learned about Brian's tragic death in 1997, he was devastated. "I cried like a kid again," he said softly. "He wasn't just my TV uncle, he was family, away from the screen." Johnny's life had its share of challenges. He married Simria Wright in 1984, hoping to find peace and stability after years of growing up in the spotlight. But as time went on, the pressures of fame and personal struggles began to weigh heavily on him. The marriage ended in 1988, marking a difficult chapter in his life. He later faced battles with addiction and depression, but ultimately found his way back, emerging sober and spiritually renewed. In 2012, Johnny reconnected with his audience through the Dr. Zod and Johnny Show, a radio program that allowed him to speak candidly about life, humor, and hope. A year later, he returned to the stage in the Judson Theater Company's production of To Kill a Mockingbird, portraying Judge Taylor with quiet strength and dignity. Then, in 2016, he made a nostalgic cameo in Amazon's reboot of Sigmund and the Sea Monsters, appearing alongside David Arquette. Through every phase of his career, Johnny Whitaker carried the lessons that Brian Keith taught him. "He showed me that acting isn't about fame, it's about truth," Johnny said. "He told me, if you don't feel it, the audience won't feel it either." Today, Johnny looks back on Family Affair not just as the show that made him famous, but as the foundation of who he became. "Brian Keith was my hero," he reflected. "He had his demons, but he also had tremendous love and integrity. He didn't always say it, but he showed it in how he worked, how he treated people, and how he lived." Now, at 65, Johnny Whitaker finally shares his truth, a story not just about Hollywood, but about gratitude, mentorship, and the enduring power of love. Brian Keith wasn't just playing the role of an uncle. To Johnny, he truly was one.